Hey guys, this is Iggy back again with Dragon Blogger. So I just finished receiving from our friends at ThermalTake the Core X31 case so that I can build this bad boy. Thanks again to our friends at ThermalTake. So with it, I am going to be building it with the Arctic Freezer 240 liquid cooling unit. From our friends at EVGA, the EVGA X99 classified board. Down here we can see from Sapphire the Nitro R9 390 video card, super sweet card. What else do we have on down there? We have the Intel Core i7 5930K processor. From our friends at Patriot, the Ignite 480GB, the Samsung Evo 850 down there, 500 gig. From our friends at HyperX, the HyperX Predator 3000 16 gig kit, DDR4 of course. And of course there'll be a few other things in the entire build, but those are the things I wanted to take mention of right now. And we'll go through them more. So anyway, come over here and let's see just how to build a PC. Alright guys, so since we are going to be building this machine on the EVGA X99 classified, we're going to be using the Intel Core i7 5930K processor. This is an LGA 2011 processor, socket 2011 processor. So first off, we're going to want to make sure to take this off. Little plastic cover there. They include that way you don't bend any pins. If you bend any pin, you will void your warranty on the motherboard. So make sure you don't do that. First off, the way that this is actually locked in place, the little lever here, the way it's locked in place, it has a lock over here and a lock over here. Okay, so the way that this is held in place is these two little levers here lock this in place. So in order to take that out, first, right up here, we see the unlock. Push down here, push into this way, and lift it out. We can see that relieves a little tension right down here. And now we're going to push this one in towards the CPU socket and lift it. And now we can see that it is loose. So we can flip this out of here now. That's going to open this up totally so that we can put the CPU inside. All right. Now we'll take the CPU out. Make sure you don't touch any of these guys here. The grease from your fingertips could potentially ruin it either immediately or over time. So now we'll go ahead and pull it this way, slide it into place. Now you'll notice right here, right here, right here, and right here, there's little notches that line up right here on the motherboard, right there, and right there. So you want to make sure that all those line up. You don't want to slide this around when it's in there. It either goes in or it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and push that down in there lightly. Okay, and it's good in there. So now we'll just slide this down into place. We'll put it back in reverse the way we took it out. So sliding this bar down, you see how that squeezes down this clamp here? Slide it down here. Push it down, lock it into place over here. And now we're going to go ahead and put tension down here. So push down here, push down, slide in. And it's that easy. You've installed the CPU. Now mind you, you do have to use CPU, thermal paste, and of course you need a CPU cooler. In this particular case, we're going to be using the Arctic Freezer 240, but you can also use air, however you would like to do it. So now we're going to go ahead and install the RAM. For this particular review, we're going to be using the HyperX Predator 3000. These are a 16 gig kit. Now, this, for the memory, I'm going to go ahead and put this down for now because I don't want to touch these gold pins. For the memory, this is slot 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is 8, 7, 6, 5. So the way to keep it in quad channel is to install memory in slot 1, 3, 7, and 5. Okay, that's the way to keep it in quad channel. If you install it in any other method, skipping over 1, 3, 7, and 5, your PC is not going to boot at all. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Install it into slot 1. So to install RAM, just push these little guys down. And then, you might mess up the first time. Just line up the memory like this. You notice there's a little notch right here. That little notch matches right up here on the motherboard. So, if right now I were to install it like this, it wouldn't go anywhere. To give you a better example, see, it's not going anywhere, kind of seesawing right there. You would just flip it around. Now, put it down again. Just push down. It's going to go ahead and pull these little notches in. All right, so now both of those that we slid out went back in and locked into place. They locked into place right over here. That's just to make sure you can't pull the RAM out, and you don't want to do that with your system on. So now slot 3. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the same. Okay. Now slot 7. Nope, won't fit that way. Flip it around. Okay. And finally, slot 5. All right, so that's pretty easy. I've just shown you how to install DDR4 RAM. Again, in this particular case, it was the HyperX Predator 3K or 3000, the 16 gig modules, or kit, should I say. All right, guys, so now that we've installed the memory and the CPU on the board, let's go ahead and, first off, take off the side panel on this case. Because in a second, we're going to go ahead and install that motherboard. All right. Now, before we can install the board, we have to install the I/O shield. This guy right over here. This gives you all of the USB ports, Ethernet, optical, and audio ports on the back of the board. All right, and this is just to keep pressure and to keep dust out of the inside of the case. All right, for that, I'll just turn it around over here. You can see that here. I'm going to get you a little closer so you can see a little bit closer what I do. Here is the I/O slot on the back of the board. First off, we're going to, before we put it in there, you're going to want to match on the back of the board. Okay, it's going to be hanging like this, so I want it to be like that. Okay, so now I know I want to put it like this. Now, we would put it in from the back, slide it in here. Now, we're going to push it in place, and you see these little knots right here? When you push that in place, the metal right here goes behind it and holds the I/O shield in place. So if I push it right in here, mind you, sometimes you do have to push a little hard. Some motherboards make it really difficult to get it in. This one was actually really simple to get in. So let's get the board in real quick. Get the board in. They'll tell you on the actual back of the board itself what board you can use. For example, this standoff right up here says AM, so there I can use ATX or micro ATX. Up here, it only shows an M, though that is also for an ATX. Then there's AM here, ATX, micro ATX, ATX, micro ATX, ATX, micro ATX, ATX only, ATX only, ATX only, and ATX and micro ATX. So we have to put one standoff here. So if you were only using micro ATX, you would use this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Now mind you, some boards don't actually have those holes, but just to give you an example, and I can see up here they meant to etch an A, but it didn't quite reach. All right, so now to fill this one in, they've given you a few extra standoffs in the accessory bag. This guy right here. Then they also gave you this nice little tool. This is a standoff screw. I'll show you how to use that in 1 second. So we get a standoff, and then we push it right in here, and with the screwdriver, just pop it right in here, and just screw it in. All right, and then we can just pull that out. Love it when they include that in there. All right, and let's see what else. Are we missing anything? So we have, now to make sure you don't mess up your board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws. 10 posts there. So now we go on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so we have enough there. Now, mind you, while we're screwing this in, we want to make sure that we put 10 screws in there. If we're missing a screw, that might mean one of these standoffs is not in the right place. If you have a standoff placed there incorrectly, there is a very big chance you can short out your board. You would kill your system. You would have to buy a new board, potentially everything else in there. All right, so now we grab the motherboard screws. We'll just slide the board in there right now. Now, mind you, I know some of you are going to flip out saying that I should have built it laying down, but it's a lot easier for me to demonstrate for you with the case standing up like this. All right, and now that we have the holes lined up, we'll just screw one into place to hold everything in place. Now, mind you, if it's laying down, it's going to be in place, but again, I'm doing this just to show you. It's a lot easier to show you like this. All right, now EVGA has included this I/O cover that goes, that goes right like this, covers everything here, so it looks a lot nicer when you're looking inside the system. Mind you, you don't need to use it, but I prefer to, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. And that is also going to screw into the place where the posts are. All right, so we have 7 more screws to go. Now you want to make sure you get all those screws in place. That helps with grounding and with noise, like if there is vibration, a lot of vibration in the case. All right, so there we go. We have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws in place. So we've used up all of the posts, and now we know there is no extra post that could potentially fry the board. All right, so now we'll go ahead and install the video card. This is the Sapphire Radeon Nitro R9 390. So for that, we'll go ahead and unscrew the very first top one up here, the PCI slot cover. And I'll go ahead and put this right over here for now, just so that it doesn't get in the way. Now we'll just go ahead and slide this puppy in. All right, there you go there. Now, one thing I do see kind of makes me a little uncomfortable is this card is really close to that I/O cover there. Now, mind you, chances are it's not going to do anything, but actually, looking on here, we are going to want to lift that a little bit. So I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this I/O cover, but first off, I'm going to show you how to remove that card. This is the card fully inserted. Now, if we wanted to remove this card to get a better card, or just to remove it to remove the motherboard, we would have to first push down this little slot right over here. So we push down and pull the card out. That's it. Easy enough. I just wanted to show you how to do that real quick. So now that I've installed the CPU, the RAM, of course the motherboard, the video card, I'm going to go ahead and install the optical. So for this, I'll just spin it right back around. All right, so then here, I'm going to go ahead, push this in, push this side in, take this out, then grab my optical drive, my Blu-ray burner, slide it in, and that's it. It's locked in place. They did a great job with that. That is toolless, so there you go. And turn it around. You can see it only pops out a little tiny bit more, so we have plenty of space for the liquid cooling unit. Now, I'm going to leave the liquid cooling unit almost for last because in order to get it correctly, I need to put the power supply underneath the power supply cover and then feed the two CPU cables right up here, clamp those in, and then I can put in the liquid cooling unit. If I don't, it's going to be really difficult to fish behind that liquid cooling unit to get to these two guys up here. So just a little warning for you guys that do have liquid cooling. And if you don't have liquid cooling, it'll be just that much easier for you. All right. So they give you the awesome option here to install two SSDs right on top of the power supply cover. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab my two SSDs and just install them here real quick. All right, so I'll just unscrew these two guys right here, these two trays. All right, and I am going to choose my Samsung Evo 500 gig to install first. For that, I'm going to be using the same screws that you use to install onto the motherboard. Put them in by hand first, just to make it quick. Alright, now with the screwdriver. Just slide it in there. Now, I'm not going to screw these in just yet, at least to the power supply cover, because I'm probably going to go ahead and remove them for cabling purposes. All right, and now I'm going to install my Patriot Ignite 480 gig. Like before, by hand first. All right, now my screwdriver. All right, you do have the option right here of installing the 3.5 inch mechanical drives or 3.5 inch SSDs, and they've actually done a great job with this because I don't need screws for this. And let me show you how that works. So here's the tray, and you'll notice right here this little guy sticking out. That's where I would slide in these screw holes. So right over here, and then right over here, clamp them in. You can see they're not falling out, and I can just slide them in. Now, I don't want this entire drive bay there, actually. I want to go ahead and put the drives in the back. So what I'm going to do first off is just first unscrew this guy out of here. All right, and then turn it around. Then I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it from here. And then I also have to unscrew these two. First slide this out of here. And then I pull that guy out of there. If you want to put another fan down here, or if you want to put a liquid cooling on the bottom, or if you want to put a huge liquid cooling unit here, they give you plenty of options in this case, right? And I'm also going to take off the power supply cover now just to insert my power supply. So I'm going to have to undo a few screws for that guy. And now, because the cover does attach to the back of the case, we're going to have to unscrew it back there too. So there's one right here. And another right here. Alright, so now we turn it around. Put these 4 screws aside. And we can just slide this out of place. Down here you can see that you have one spot here for cables, more spots here for cables, but of course you're going to have to put your power supply in there. So now that we've opened it up, let's just go ahead and put it in there now. While this is not a 100% modular power supply, it is partially modular. This is the Cooler Master Silent Pro Gold 1200 watt. It's been a great power supply for me so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and push all these cables out of here. Alright, and now just slide the power supply right in there. And now we'll go ahead and screw the power supply in. For the power supply, we'll go ahead and use these screws. Alright, now you can see what I thought might be perfect for cables. Just this one over here is kind of blocked off, though there is some room, so I can still feed some cables through there, but it's not going to be as easy, as, of course, as these two guys here, which when we put the power supply housing back over here, it will cover those two, but they are still accessible. Alright, so now, since I was mentioning, I'm going to go ahead and move the hard drives to the back. I'm going to show you how I do that real quick. With those same little trays that we used before, we can easily just come back around here. Alright, so with this little drive tray that we used before, we'll notice, first off, there's a little lip up here that'll be used for right up here. Then there's this little slit here, and those little lips feed under here. So the way you do that is, you push that over here, and maybe off to the side, might make it a little bit easier to see. Okay? And that's okay if you didn't see that one because, well, I'm going to do it again. So pushing up here. Then you're just going to kind of feel it lock in place, as you just heard a little click in there. And actually, there's a little bit more I should have done on the bottom one. Okay, there we go. Now, I can't pull this out anymore. So what this does, the little lip I showed you locks it into place downwards. And since we're pushing pressure on this upwards, this little lip right here keeps everything in place. So I can pull it. It's not going to go anywhere. So now if you ever want to uninstall it, just push up, pull out, and you're good. And I'll do that again just to put it back in there. There you go. Quick and easy, nice and tight too. It's not going to go anywhere. All right, and if you had a third drive, you can just put it right here, which I do. Another SSD. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there now.